Do government lies matter, and how can we respond? My name's Mike Cashman. I write these books, run this YouTube channel. If you like the stuff, please subscribe to the channel, buy the books and music. Does it matter if the government lies, cheats and deceives? And if so, what can we do if we're governed by people whose basis is deceit? So an important example is PPE, personal protective equipment, in case anybody's forgotten what that stands for. If a government minister says, my mate down the pub is expert at providing PPE, then we run the risk of people getting the wrong PPE and people dying as a result. Some inadequate product that was procured did not protect lives and could not be used. We can see from reading the National Audit Office report that the Tories gave preferential treatment to their friends ahead of qualified and experienced people. A pandemic should not be a way to enrich themselves and their cronies and then to conceal their wrongdoing, conceal the corrupt contracts, as a good law project has shown. Then, as always, lies snowball. There have been enormous efforts to cover up the corrupt contracts, and that includes hundreds and thousands of pounds of our money on legal fees trying to deny matters that they've later admitted. Boris Johnson, for example, said in Parliament the contracts are all on the record when about 100 at least were missing, as acknowledged by government lawyers in court. And these lies do matter, because it's by being on the record that there is some openness, some possibility of challenge as to whether more contracts have been awarded to unqualified cronies. You should not say that your friend's wife, who has really very little relevant experience, should take over without advert or competition our public health operation, sacking someone as head of public health who has years of relevant experience. You could complain about corruption, but the person in question is married to the Tory anti-corruption minister. You really couldn't make this up. So what about a government that says we did all we could? Unfortunately for Boris Johnson, the record shows that this is not the case, and thousands of people have died unnecessarily because of that. We know that he didn't take the pandemic seriously. We know that in public at his Greenwich speech in February 2020, he talked of UK being a superman that would not lock down while others did. The trouble with a government that says we did all we could is that means we don't know any of the many things that we got wrong, although the scientists of Independent Sage have been very clear about that. And so this is a government whose refusal to learn lessons will mean thousands more unnecessary deaths in the future. So it does matter if we have a government for whom truth is irrelevant. Truth does matter. A truthful government will save more lives. The truth, as is on the record in Johnson's February 2020 Greenwich speech, is that Johnson was focused on Brexit and trade when thinking about coronavirus. Maybe he even briefly believed his own lie got Brexit done. He saw coronavirus as being a positive for Brexit Britain, for allowing Britain to trade more while others locked down and Britain didn't. Which brings us to the current and previous Brexit lies. Do they matter? There are those who've asked for all the original Brexit lies to be forgotten and forgiven, and have called for reconciliation. They forgot that what makes a difference, and it would be great if this happened, but what makes a difference is truth and reconciliation. Obviously, those who are suffering the impacts of those lies now feel that they matter. People who cannot export cheese or wine or plants or fish, despite being told that if they voted for Brexit, that no one is threatening our position in the single market. Musicians whose careers are wrecked because they cannot undertake European tours, which were essential to building their fan base, despite being told you will still be able to live and work and study in the EU, even if we leave. These people feel that those past lies do matter. Obviously, there should have been some impact assessment, but the government didn't do that. They promised consultation and did very little. But the present lies matter too. This government created a unique internal customs border. A customs border which they were so ashamed about that they said, and still sometimes say that it doesn't exist and it's not required, and who also repeatedly announced that they would not adhere to the deal that they had signed, which cheapens the reputation of our country. Some Tory adverts were uniquely, independently found to be 88% deceitful in the run-up to an election, the last general election, and their response at times was chilling for some of those tactics. Because the response was not an attempt to say that they were telling the truth, for example, when they were using a fake Twitter account. Their response, if I was to sum it up, was, the end justifies the means. We're entitled to do that. The Tories uniquely were the only people entitled to govern the country and therefore were allowed to deceive and disrespect the electorate in order to achieve that. They could do anything they liked to achieve that, disrespecting the voters. And so we've got a government that no one with any moral standards or any ethical basis, whether that's derived from a faith, Christian, Muslim, Buddhist or otherwise, or from a common human standard of decency, can support. This government has sought to silence disagreement in the courts, on the airwaves, on the streets and in Parliament. Such a government rots the moral fibre of a nation. Such a government sends the message that to do well you need to lie and cheat and steal. My response, and yes, I've drawn some inspiration to form this resolve, and I don't beg pardon for that. My response is as follows, and this is because I'm loyal to my country. I want the best for my country, and that demands that a self-interested government that doesn't govern for the country must fail. I have myself full confidence that if everyone does their duty, if nothing is neglected and if the best arrangements are made, we shall prove ourselves able to defend our island home, to ride out the storm of deceit and to outlive the menace of charlatan tyranny, if necessary for years. At any rate, that's what we're going to try and do. Even though large tracts of the press and some old and famous parties have fallen or may fall into the grip of the deceitful and all the odious apparatus of charlatan rule, we shall not flag or fail. We shall go on to the end. We shall challenge the lies on the streets and on the social media landing grounds. We shall challenge with growing confidence in the air of fact-checking. We shall defend the truth. We shall challenge the lies on the buses and in the pubs. We shall challenge with facts and with satire. We shall challenge with humour and with song. We shall challenge in the press and in the media. We shall challenge at the polls. We shall never surrender. And even if, which I do not for a moment believe, these injustices cannot be put right during the 2020s, and this country, or a large part of it, was silenced and prevented from protesting, then our cheated young people, armed with all the energy and integrity of their cause, will redouble their efforts for the struggle until in God's good time that generation, with all of its power and strength and might, steps forth to the rescue to set things right, when they take power in a future decade, if indeed that does not come to pass before then. Great is truth, and it prevails. One of the worst lies is that the procurement of PPE was fair, but many lies were told that also resulted in a badly impacted economy. A lie is not made true by an election. A lie is not made true by a suppression of protest. A lie is not made true by the cancelling of TV criticism. A lie is not made true by the disabling of judicial review. A lie reveals the weakness of the liar. A lie reveals to us the truth that the liar cannot abide. A lie reveals to us the truth that the liar is afraid of. A lie reveals to us the truth that the liar is vulnerable to. And however much the liar obfuscates, avoids the question, denies the truth, distracts, the liar is still vulnerable to that truth. Forever. People talk about an 80-seat majority, you know. People say that such a majority has never in the last 50 years been turned round in one election. But I say we've never had such a den of thieves plundering our country's assets and health and causing so many avoidable deaths. So let us not be limited by the past. Let us not say that justice is not possible. Let us not say that we cannot dismiss this government when they have the guts to call a general election. We have never had such a strong case for throwing a government out. So, although the result in the next generation is, in my view, a certainty, let us not wait for that. Let us treat every Tory promise that is made now with deserved derision. Let us ask if the promise is as unreliable as all of the failed promises of this government. Let us reject the Tories at every opportunity. Let us send a clear message to this government. You have sat here too long for any good that you've been doing. Depart, I say, and let us have done with you. In the name of God, in the name of truth, in the name of all that is dear, make way, resign, go, and never seek public office again. If you have been, thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. Thank you.